女士们、先生们，大家上午好，欢迎
Good
出席
morning.
国务院新闻办
Welcome to
新闻
today's
发布会。
press conference.
今天我们非常高
We are
兴
glad to have
邀
with
请
us
到
today
国家国际发展
the
合作署署
chairman,
长罗兆辉先生、
Mr. Luo Zhaohui from China International
副署长
Development
张茂瑜先
Cooperation
生、
Agency, and Vice Chairman
周柳
Zhang
军
Maoyu,
先生、
Zhou Liujun,
邓波
and
清
Deng
先生，
Boqing.
请他们为大家
They
介
will
绍
brief us
中国
on
抗疫援助
China's
及国际
foreign
发展合
aid
作
in
情况，
terms
并
of
回答大家
fighting
感兴趣的问题。
COVID-19 and international
下面我们首
development
先请罗兆辉
cooperation,
先
and
生
then they
介
will
绍。
take your questions. The floor is yours,
各位
Mr. Luo.
记者朋友们，大家
Friends
上午
from
好
the press, good morning.
很高兴啊，同各位
It's a pleasure
再
to
度见
meet
面。
you
这
here.
是我们国家
This
国
is
际发展合作署啊，
The
成
first
立3年多以来，
press conference of
the
China International Development
首次
Cooperation
新闻
Agency since its
感谢
establishment
新
more
闻
than
界
3
朋友
years ago.
长期以来对我国
I would like to thank
援外
friends
资
from
源
the press
关注
for following
和我
China's
们
foreign
国
assistance
署
over the
工
years,
作的支持。
and also thank you for your
也要
support to the
感谢
work of our agency.
国新办
I
感谢
also
我们主持人
wish to
邀
thank
请
the
我
State
们
Council
参加今
Information
天的
Office
见证会。
for the
大家知
invitation
道
to host today's
昨天啊
press conference.
这个
As you know, yesterday
中华
there
联合国纪念活动
was
50
a
周年啊，
commemoration of the
在
50th anniversary of the restoration of China's lawful seat in the UN. It was held in the Great Hall of the People, and President Xi Jinping attended the meeting and delivered an important speech.
在这个历史
But
性事件中，
what may not have crossed your mind
发挥了
is the unique role that foreign assistance
在
have
两
played
提案，
in this historic
中国
event.
重返联合国两个提案
Of
两个
all
案
the
两个这个
co-sponsors of the bill that supported China's return to the UN. Of all the 23 countries, 22 were recipient countries.
一个缩
I
影。
call it an epitome and a glory of China's foreign assistance of yesterday.
新冠疫情蔓延
At
期间，
present,
世界经济
the spreading of
复苏步履维艰，
COVID-19 and the struggling world economic recovery is still posing severe challenges to global sustainable development. Under the personal command and instructions of President Xi Jinping, China has not only taken the lead in fighting COVID-19 and recovering the economy,
新中国成立
but
以来
also launched an emergency humanitarian operation, which is the longest and most extensive since the founding of People's Republic.
我国
Last year, China provided
向150个国家
a
和
large
13个国
amount
际组织
of
提
masks,
供了
protective suits, and ventilators to 150 countries and 13 international organizations. Since the beginning of this year, we have provided to 106 countries and 4 international organizations over 1.5 billion doses of vaccines, which is the number 1 in the world. We have played an important role in COVID-19 prevention and in leading anti-epidemic cooperation.
今天
I
的
call it
一道彩虹。
a rainbow showcasing China's foreign aid of today, a rainbow that we take pride in.
从49年到今天已经走过了71年的
Since
光辉
1941, 71 years have
隆重的
passed.
情谊接触，累累的硕果。
This past journey has demonstrated China's goodwill and yielded fruitful results. From the Tanzara to Karakoram, from the hybrid rice to Juncao technology, from antimicinin to COVID-19 vaccine, they are all
亮丽名片，
the name cards and witnesses of China aid.
这个疫苗援助很多这个包装上有这个
You may see from the package of Chinese vaccines, China aid.
名片，
I call them the name cards of China's foreign assistance.
是我们中国共产党100年历史的辉煌篇章。
And together they constitute a glorious chapter in the centenary of the CPC. To date, China has provided various types of assistance to more than 160 countries, including thousands of set projects and material assistance, tens of thousands of technical and human resources development cooperation, and have trained
40多万人
over 400,000 people for other developing countries. These achievements could not be possible without the continuous efforts of generations of individuals and institutions working in foreign
党的十八
assistance.
大以来，
Since the 18th Party Congress, under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, China's foreign assistance and international development cooperation have, building on existing foundation, opened new prospects and made new achievements. We have improved our cooperation mechanism. Our agency was established 3 years ago, and this has provided important institutional guarantee for upgrading China's development cooperation. In addition, the establishment of the South-South Cooperation Assistance Fund and the Institute of South-South Cooperation and Development are all dedicated to helping developing countries improving the ability to develop on its own. We have also been improving our ideas on promoting international development cooperation. President Xi Jinping has the world at his heart and the people at his heart. He put forth major initiatives such as a community with a shared future for mankind and the Belt and Road Initiative. They are all the continuation of Marxist internationalism and humanitarianism, and also they have combined traditional Chinese philosophy such as harmony and common prosperity for the world. And all these are important guiding principles for China's foreign aid. We also put forth major initiatives and principles such as to strike a balance between benefits and interests. These are all important guiding principles. We are also making continued contribution to the world through our foreign assistance. As the world is facing challenges and difficulties in pursuing further development, China has been contributing our solutions, wisdom, and strength to the development of the world. We have never been absent in addressing global challenges and disasters. Vaccines and supplies fighting COVID-19 has been the focus of recent foreign aid, but we have never stopped our routine work. For example, those livelihood projects. We know there is a huge demand from the recipient countries. Therefore, we have overcome large amounts of difficulties and tried to continue the existing livelihood projects. But also we know that there are problems such as corruption risks, monitoring and supervision. These are also important points that we have been paying attention to. And some of the training programs, we have moved them online so as to continue them during COVID-19. At the same time, China is still a developing country. The reason why we attach importance to and actively carry out foreign assistance is, first, we try to implement Xi Jinping thought on socialism and on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, and Xi Jinping thought on diplomacy. We know that humanity are interdependent and we share the same earth. Therefore, through foreign aid, we hope to better this one earth that we all share, because this is the ideal that the CPC uphold in promoting the development of humanity. Second, we aim to expand the friendly cooperation with all the developing countries, expand our circle of friends, and pursue shared and common prosperity. As a major responsible country, China is keenly aware of the rising importance and necessity to carry out foreign assistance, steer South-South cooperation, build consensus on development, and champion true multilateralism. Third is to serve domestic economic development and deepen reform and opening up, while helping recipient countries develop their economies and improve people's livelihood. Foreign aid programs can also bring China's quality products, advanced technologies, and industrial standards abroad. They also play an important role in promoting China's trade and investment cooperation, deepening China's all-round exchanges with the world, and creating a favorable external environment. And fourth, it is an expression of gratitude to the international community because, as described in a Chinese saying, a favor of drop of water should be repaid with a surging spring. We know from the history of the CPC, Communist International provided selfless support to the establishment of the CPC. Foreign friends such as Hank Sneeflert, Dr. Norman Bethune, and Dr. Kotnis traveled to China to help. Development and reform and opening up of China have also benefited from the support of the international community. When China was hit by the devastating earthquake in 2008, I was serving as ambassador in Pakistan by then. I know from the military of Pakistan that they are willing to send rescue teams to China. I told them the situation there was quite severe. They said it's okay, even if there's nothing to eat, we would still like to go to Wenchuan to help. We never intend to ask for anything in return in foreign assistance, but fragrance stays in the hands that give roses. We have received high price and generous support from the international community. For example, at this year's UN Human Rights Council, while the West unwarrantedly attacked China using Xinjiang and Hong Kong as an excuse, over 90 countries spoke out on China's behalf. That was a very vivid example. In foreign aid, the relationship between the roses and the fragrance, so to speak, is quite dialectical. To give or not to give, what and how to give, are the serious issues that we must carefully think through. For China, we do foreign aid to the best of our abilities, and it has played an irreplaceable role as Chinese nation stood up, became well-off and prosperous. Going forward in carrying out foreign assistance, we will continue to follow the guidance of Xi Jinping's thought on diplomacy, take the building of a community with a shared future for mankind as the purpose, balance the relationship between principle and benefits, and contribute to the overall diplomacy and Belt and Road Initiative. We will strike a balance between bilateral and multilateral cooperation using both hard and soft ways of assistance, properly roll out free loans and concessional loans, and attach equal importance to implementation, supervision, and assessment to make new progress in China's foreign assistance. To be specific, on the basis of traditional bilateral assistance, we will enhance exchanges and cooperation with Western countries, the UN, and other international organizations. While carrying out complete sets of projects, we will pay attention to knowledge transfer through human resource training programs and the sharing of experience. We will also combine grant assistance and concessional loans to reduce financing costs, and will strengthen whole chain supervision of projects, prevent corruption risks, improve the quality of projects, and ensure the sustainable development of foreign assistance. And now we are ready to take your questions.
Thank you, Chairman Luo. Now, please raise hands and identify your affiliations before asking the questions. From CCTV. We know that China's foreign assistance started with neighboring countries. During the pandemic, how have we helped neighboring countries and what is the effect? Thank you for your question.
Indeed, 71 years ago, we started to provide foreign aid to our neighboring countries. We supported Vietnam, and then we supported Korea back in the 1950s. Over the past 71 years, our neighboring countries have always been the focus of our diplomacy. We cannot live in peace without peaceful neighborhood. And neighborhood is the foundation of a country's security and also a priority area in the building of a community with a shared future for mankind. After the outbreak of COVID-19, our neighboring countries extended genuine help and assistance to China. We were quite moved by that. The Cambodian Prime Minister and the Pakistani President visited China despite of all the difficulties and challenges, and the Mongolian president provided assistance of 30,000 sheep to China, who is studying in Beijing. She donated, hit hard by COVID-19. We were quite moved by the goodwill of our foreign friends. We will always repay the goodwill of other people. And during COVID-19, we have received generous support from neighboring countries and around the world. Therefore, when COVID-19 hit our neighbors, we started to provide help under the leadership of President Xi Jinping, under the guidance of the interagency mechanism of the State Council, and under the direct instructions of State Councilor Wang Yi, we started to provide help. First, we provide emergency response because it was quite an emergency for neighboring countries. At the same time, we have our procedures that we must follow, but we tried to innovate to hurry up the whole process. You may know that the virus variation Delta has created such an emergency in neighboring countries. Therefore, we started an emergency support plan and ensured that we provide an emergency supply to Nepal, Afghanistan, the Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and Thailand, including oxygen and ventilators. Within just a period of few days, we sent expert team to the Laos and supplies to Nepal. Second, we provide both hard and soft assistance. In addition to medical supplies and medical expert teams, we also hosted video conferences and established an emergency pool of medical supplies for South Asian countries, because China was quite successful in fighting the COVID-19, and we have gained valuable time for the world to address COVID-19. We know that neighboring countries were expecting China to help, because at the same time, Western countries, they can't afford to help because they were busy with their own issues and they were not willing to help. So neighboring countries had high expectations on China, and we lived up to their expectations. We provided several patches of medical supplies. We provided over 80 million doses of vaccines to neighboring countries, over 10 groups of medical experts, and over 1,000 video conferences, which provided valuable training to their medical professionals. Third, we have taken preventive measures in fighting COVID-19. You may know that since last year, a border city in China, Ruili, were closed down for 3 times because of COVID-19 emergencies. Therefore, to address this issue, we worked through the Yunnan province to provide vaccines and medical, which ensure that we can take some and ensured general stability in China. We aim to deepen good neighborliness and emergency assistance, livelihood and health of their people, and also helped China for good neighborliness and friendship with our China has provided countries. Many leaders of foreign China, they praised China. Over the years, my colleague in providing foreign assistance in such our leaders from the State Council in China.
Thank you. From Beijing Youth South Pacific has made progress, I'm sure. Could you elaborate on? Thank you for this question. Latin America and South Pacific. good brother. We at the agency practices Xi Jinping's thought on diplomacy with persuasion on health, agriculture, education, and green development. Fruitful outcomes have been achieved. First, to build an even closer China-Africa, China-LAC community with a shared future. With the pandemic, since the FOCAC-Beijing Summit in 2018, China has provided the best possible support and assistance to affected African countries and the African Union for them to restart socioeconomic development. First of all, anti-COVID cooperation. China immediately provided over 120 batches of testing kits and supplies, including ventilators. China provided vaccines to 50 African countries in the African Union and sent medical experts to 17 African countries. Second, on economic resumption, we at the agency registered or implemented close to 400 assistance projects. Despite the pandemic, close to 10,000 Chinese engineers and staff and medical professionals stayed on their post locally to support hundreds of projects and support African countries to restart production and economic performance. Third, on specific projects, we've fully implemented the 8 major initiatives announced at the FOCAC Beijing Summit. The Africa CDC headquarters started construction ahead of schedule. It was by the end of last year. And the projects such as the Children's Hospital in Senegal, the Infectious Disease Treatment Center in Mauritania were successfully completed and handed over. As to 50 assistance projects, China announced in 6 major areas such as industrialization, health, peace and security, green development, trade facilitation, and people-to-people exchange. They will be completed very recently. Fourth, on exemption of debts, China has signed agreement or reached consensus with 19 African countries on debt service suspension and written off debts in the form of interest-free loans of 15 African countries that were due to mature by the end of 2020 to ease their debt burdens. Fifth, on capacity building, China has provided 25,000 training opportunities to African countries and conducted cooperation with 45 hospitals in 40 African countries through sharing of experience. Many African governments and people thanked China for the timely help and calling China their true friend. In recent decades, China's assistance to Latin American and South Pacific Island countries has also made good progress. We have conducted a large amount of projects in transportation, agriculture, infrastructure, culture, education, and health, and provided more than 50,000 training opportunities for managerial and technical personnel to support local economic and social development. Since the outbreaks of COVID-19, we've provided 53 batches of anti-COVID supplies to countries in need and also 28 batches of vaccines. We have organized Chinese experts for remote video conferences. We've also actively implemented the G20 Debt Service Suspension Initiative, which played an important role for easing their debt burdens. In the future, we will continue to focus on public health, trade facilitation, connectivity, poverty alleviation, digital innovation, green development, and capacity building to launch small and beneficial livelihood projects to teach the local people how to fish so that the outcomes go directly to people of the recipient countries. to jointly defeat the virus and restart the economy so that we can make a greater contribution to build a closer community with a shared future for mankind.
Thank you. Bloomberg News. If we could just ask about the debt issue in Africa, please. What is the best way to resolve the debt problems that African nations are facing? And second part of that, what steps is China taking, if any, to join the Paris Club? Thank you.
好，请翻译一下。
我来自彭博新闻社。首先，我的第一个问题关于非洲国家债务问题。中国认为什么是解决非洲国家债务问题的最好办法？第二个问题是中国是否考虑加入巴黎俱乐部？
这个问题是不是这个问的也挺好？是不是请我们来请你回答一下？
A good question. May I invite Vice Chairman Zhou to take this question as well? Okay, let me try to take your questions. The issue of African debt has attracted great attention. It is a protracted historical issue with complicated reasons. It's affected by a changing international economic environment. It's also because of external reasons such as rising protectionism and appreciation of major reserve currencies. In the recent 2 years, COVID-19 has made African debt issues more prominent. China has all along attached great importance to the debt burden on African countries. In financing and investment cooperation with Africa, we've all along respected their will and based on their needs. When providing interest-free loans and concessional loans, we take into full account the recipient country's current liabilities and solvency. In our work, we strictly abide by laws and regulations and stay open and transparent. We never seek political expediency. In our cooperation with Africa, we pursue shared interests and the greater good and uphold sincerity, real results, affinity, and good faith. Lending and the debt service suspension issues with Africa are always handled through friendly cooperation. China and Africa join hands to respond to difficulties brought by COVID-19. President Xi Jinping and African leaders jointly chaired the extraordinary China-Africa Summit on solidarity against COVID-19, during which he announced measures to support African development and debt service suspension and exemption. China actively implements the G20 DSSI. We've signed agreement or reached consensus with 19 African countries on debt service suspension. China has written off for least developed countries, heavily indebted poor countries, inland developing countries, and small island countries in Africa their interest-free loans debts that were due to mature by the end of 2020. China believes to address the debt issues in Africa, it is most fundamentally driven by stronger self-generated development capability of African countries for sustainable development. China-Africa cooperation has always been a yardstick for South-South cooperation and a good example for international cooperation with Africa. Incomplete statistics show that China has built in Africa more than 6,000 kilometers of railway, 6,000 kilometers of roads, nearly 20 ports, over 80 large-scale electricity facilities. Because infrastructure is believed to be very important as the foundation to development. We've also assisted more than 130 medical facilities, 45 stadiums, and 170 plus schools. Even during the pandemic, many Chinese engineers stayed on their posts in Africa to secure the performance of these key projects and provide strong support to African countries' resumption of production and economic performance. There are different voices. We take notice of that. And also in recent years, there are media outlets trying to play up the discussion that Chinese loans are creating invisible debt traps. But that is not true. Let me make it clear to you. Many Western and Asian and African countries' governments, experts, and research institutes have conducted investigation over this. Not even one developing country has fallen prey to the debt trap because of Chinese loans. Facts and data fully shows that this accusation is purely politically driven. Its real intention is to drive a wedge between China and Africa friendly and cooperative relations. It's up to the people and governments of Africa to answer this question. As to your second question about China's accession into the Paris Club, China is not a member to the Paris Club, yet we have participated in some of its activities as a non-member, and our communication with the members are smooth. In the future, China will promote multilateral consensus on debt issues. We will seek greater communication with other countries to jointly help African countries handle well debt issues. And we will work with African side to accelerate the implementation of outcomes of the FOCAC Beijing Summit. We will accelerate the implementation of cooperation projects that meet the urgent needs of African countries and help Africa increase their homegrown development capabilities. In the meantime, we call on developed countries, multilateral financial institutions, and private creditors to take actions as promised and do more to help African countries and other developing countries to develop. Let's work together, complement each other's efforts, and sincerely support the sustainable development of African countries and other developing countries to the benefit of local peoples. Thank you.
好，请继续提问。我先这边吧，第三排这位男记者。
谢谢主持人，南方都市报提问。想请问中国政府开展抗疫对外援助的整体情况以及下一步。
I wish to ask about the overall situation for China's foreign aid and future plan. What are the roles that we have played in our recipient countries, and what are the differences between China's foreign aid and that of Western countries and the United States?
Thank you for your question. May I give the floor to my colleague, Vice Chairman Deng Boqing?
去年3月份的时候。
Thank you. Last March, I was here in this room to brief you on anti-COVID assistance. Now, a year and a half on, the pandemic is still ravaging the world. Data shows that there are 244 million confirmed cases globally, leading to 4.96 million deaths. At such a special moment, countries need more than ever to help each other to tide over the difficulties. Thanks to direct guidance and deployment of General Secretary Xi Jinping, China has been leading efforts to fight the pandemic and restart the economy. In the meantime, we uphold the philosophy of a community with a shared future for mankind in international cooperation against the pandemic. We've conducted the longest and most extensive emergency humanitarian operation since the founding of the People's Republic. Let me share with you some figures. Last year, China provided to 150 countries and 13 international organizations assistance such as masks, protective wears, ventilators, and oxygen tanks, as well as other protective and medical supplies. China has also provided large amounts of testing kits and rapid test equipment. China also sent 37 medical expert groups to 34 countries for thousands of conferences to share experience. China has also provided $50 million in cash to the WHO and donated $50 million to the UN agencies and other international organizations. And since the start of 2021, we have resolutely implemented General Secretary Xi Jinping's commitment to make Chinese vaccines a global public good. To date, we have provided to 106 countries and 4 international organizations over 1.5 billion vaccine doses. Many state leaders expressed appreciation to President Xi. They believe China's valuable support shows China is a friend indeed. And it's a good example of anti-COVID international cooperation. More than 30 countries' presidents or prime ministers have greeted Chinese vaccines at the airports. They attended handover ceremonies and took the lead to inject Chinese vaccines. As reported by many international media, China's vaccines is a timely help. But as you can see, vaccines have been widely appreciated and welcomed by state leaders of more than 30 countries. Its safety have been widely recognized. The WHO has also included Chinese vaccines into the emergency use list. That is a recognition of professional organizations. The safety and efficiency of Chinese vaccines have been fully verified, and the world expressed confidence. Its safety is also supported by many scientific research. For example, in Sri Lanka, more than 95% of the people receiving 2 Chinese vaccine doses have generated antibodies, and Chinese vaccines are effective to the Delta variant. In Indonesia, medical staff injecting with Chinese vaccines can be 96% free from COVID infections. These data show that Chinese vaccines have contributed to building a line of defense against the virus globally. In the future, we will continue to implement President Xi's solemn commitment that within 2021, China will provide 2 billion doses to the world, donate 100 million doses to developing countries, and donate $100 million to COVAX. We will work with other countries to move forward international cooperation on vaccines to build a global community.
In addressing climate change and promoting green development of the world, what role will China's foreign assistance play?
I will invite Vice Chairman Zhang Maoyu to take your question. Thank you for your question. Climate change is the nature's alarm bell to the humanity. China has realized and recognized this. As President Xi Jinping announced on the general debate of the 75th UN General Assembly, China will strive to peak carbon dioxide emissions before 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality before 2060. This is a major strategic decision made by China by coordinating domestic and international policies. It demonstrates China's sense of responsibility and mission to actively respond to climate change and build a community with a shared future for mankind. It fully shows China's resolve to pursue a path of green, low-carbon, and high-quality development. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, China's foreign assistance has resolutely implemented policy commitments on South-South cooperation and climate response. We've actively participated in relevant international cooperation and supported developing countries to respond to the challenge of a changing climate. Over the past 8 years, China has implemented climate response assistance projects for over 200 times, including around 70 mitigation projects, such as the Pakistani Parliament building, the Riverside Green Development Project for Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. We have implemented around 150 adaptation projects, such as responding to the flood in Nepal, hurricanes in Fiji, and tropical cyclone in Mozambique. We've also organized more than 80 thematic seminars on climate response and trained close to 2,000 personnel. Going ahead, China's foreign assistance will take green development as one of the priorities to help developing countries increase capability of climate response. First of all, we will provide strong support to the projects. We will actively implement climate response and environmental protection projects, such as clean energy projects on PV, biogas, and hydropower stations, and projects to prevent desertification. Second, environmental protection will be highlighted. In foreign assistance projects, we will conduct environmental protection reviews and climate response reviews to make these projects more friendly, more climate friendly. Second, we will provide greater funding support under the frameworks of South-South Cooperation Fund, the Lancang-Mekong Cooperation Special Fund, China-Africa Development Fund, the South-South Cooperation Fund on Climate Change. We will try to build synergies of these frameworks. Second, we will coordinate the central and local government's efforts. We will use the proximity of border provinces such as Yunnan and Tibet to provide assistance to neighboring countries on cross-border water resources management and the production and development of nature reserves. Fifth, on experience sharing, we will encourage and support developing countries to take concrete actions to protect Mother Nature and encourage green recovery, production, and consumption so that the good environment will become a lasting source for sustainable development.
Some overseas review thinks that there is a lack of transparency in China's foreign assistance. What measures will China take in improving the transparency? I think it's quite a targeted question, so I would like to invite Mr. Zhou to answer this question. We have been open in providing foreign assistance, such as today's press conference. The major leadership, including Mr. Chairman and several chairpersons from the agency, is a vivid example of the importance that we have attached to improving the transparency of our work. The Chinese leadership, including our state leaders, have been talking about China's foreign assistance on major multilateral occasions, such as in the United Nations, including the overall situation and major initiatives. We have also released white papers on the overall situation of China's foreign aid. In 2011, we released the first white paper on the policy, funding, the methods, and distribution and management of China's foreign assistance. It provided a general and comprehensive introduction. And in 2014, the second white paper was released. This second white paper reviewed the funding ways and overall situation over the previous 3 years. And this January, on the third anniversary of our agency, we released another white paper on China's international development cooperation in the new era. aiming to answer the questions and attention from the international community. It has explained China's policy ideas and philosophy guiding international development cooperation and introduced all the works that we have done in promoting the building of a community with a shared future for mankind. I wish to emphasize that after the establishment of our agency, we immediately opened the official portal and several accounts on major social medias. And we welcome the visits of all the friends from both China and around. So the channels of communication are open and will remain open, and we welcome all to come to visit us, and we will release relevant issues and data in a timely manner. Thank you for your attention and interest.
中国日报记者提问。近期呢，国合署接连举办了纪念中国援外70周年。
Over the recent years, the agency has hosted several events commemorating the 70th anniversary of China's foreign assistance, 20th anniversary of Juntao assistance, and 5th anniversary of South-South cooperation. It has attracted wide attention. Can you talk more about these anniversary events? Thank you for your attention on those celebrations. This year, we celebrate the centenary of the CPC. You may recall that by the end of May, the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee had a group study, and President Xi Jinping called upon all of us to tell the world more about China's stories. So we took the initiative and hosted a commemoration of the 70th anniversary of China's foreign assistance. It focused on the history of China's foreign assistance, which is an epitome of the past glorious 100 years of the CPC. As I've mentioned before, since the establishment, since the early days of the CPC, we have received support from various factors of the international community. And we have received assistance from the former Soviet Union and other countries, including socialist countries at the early days of the People's Republic. Therefore, we try to repay the debt of gratitude. We started to provide foreign assistance since the start of the People's Republic. It has been 71 years since China started to assist other countries. The past 71 years has been a glorious journey which demonstrated the goodwill and love and compassion of the CPC, of the Chinese government, and of the Chinese nation. We hosted a photo exhibition on the past 70 years, which showcased the history of the past 7 decades of foreign assistance, demonstrating the purposes of the CPC to pursue common prosperity and harmony for humanity. And then we also hosted a commemoration of the 20th anniversary of Juntao assistance, because it's quite a vivid example, a specific example of China's foreign assistance. In addition to Juntao technology, we also have hybrid rice, because many of the recipient countries are agricultural countries, and agricultural technology is quite in need. 20 years ago, when Secretary General Xi Jinping served as the Party Secretary of Fujian Province, he realized that agricultural technology, such as Juntao technology, would be quite crucial for the development of other countries. So 20 years ago, President Xi Jinping, when working in Fujian Province, he ensured that he identified the Juntao technology as a way of foreign assistance and provided this technology to Papua New Guinea. And starting from then, many countries have started to learn from China the junzao technology. They started the cultivation of junzao, and we have hosted over 270 training programs and trained over 10,000 professionals. Over 10,000 job opportunities were created by the training of junzao technology. Some of the leaders I learned from Papua New Guinea named their children junzao in commemoration of such a generous assistance. And also we hosted the commemoration of the 5th anniversary of South-South cooperation, including the establishment of the South-South Cooperation Fund and the institution of South-South Cooperation Development. The initiative was announced by President Xi Jinping in 2015, and the institute was established under Peking University. Mr. Lin Yifu served as the president of this institute. Over the past 5 years, over 200 students were enrolled in this institute, studying graduate, master's, and doctor's programs. And I believe their studying experience have been quite rewarding. And for the South-South Cooperation Assistance Fund, it has started cooperation with over 10 international organizations and have benefited over 20 million people. It has assisted our fight against the Ebola virus, against the COVID-19, and promoted the development of health programs for women and children, and have contributed tangibly to the attainment of the SDGs. With our joint efforts, this fund and this institute on South-South cooperation have become very important public goods in promoting South-South cooperation and an important brand name in promoting South-South cooperation and sustainable development among all the developing countries. I think this is also an example that China's foreign assistance is actually transparent and open. 3 years ago, on the 18th of April, 3 years ago, our agency was established. Our name is the China International Development Cooperation Agency. It means that we are doing works related to international issues. In the past, in Chinese, we call it foreign assistance, but now we name it international development cooperation. Why? Because we believe such efforts is a kind of interaction on the multilateral occasion. It's not just a one-way give-take. Because in carrying out international development cooperation, we will think about how to synergize the efforts from both sides. What we have been doing in carrying out international cooperation on development, our cooperation with the UN, our cooperation including the SSCAF, ISSCAD, will be acknowledged as long as you are not wearing a colored glass, so to speak. We are trying to better integrate our international development cooperation with international practice. We are trying to upgrade what was previously bilateral foreign assistance to a multilateral international development cooperation. South-South cooperation is a kind of mutual assistance among developing countries, among what used to be poor countries. It is also a cooperation between developed and developing countries. We are also synergizing our efforts between South-South cooperation and North-South cooperation.
from Phoenix TV. Recently, a report from the United States claimed that Belt and Road projects face challenges of implementation, such as labor regulations, environmental evaluation, public protest, that the hosting country's enthusiasm has faded. I wonder what's your take, and may you elaborate on the role that your agency has played for Belt and Road cooperation.
One important focus of Xi Jinping thought on diplomacy is a community with a shared future for mankind. And the Belt and Road Initiative is an important platform. Recently, President Xi Jinping proposed a global community for development. Yesterday, while talking with General Secretary Guterres, President Xi Jinping also reiterated the importance of the building of a community with a shared future for mankind. And now I would like to invite Vice Chairman Deng Boqing to answer your question. The Belt and Road Initiative is the most important platform for building a community with a shared future for mankind. It is highly compatible with the SDG of the United Nations and has been widely recognized and welcomed by the international community. By now, China has signed with 140 countries and 32 international organizations 206 cooperation documents on the Belt and Road cooperation and established 90 bilateral cooperation mechanisms. Guided by the principle of extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefit, we aim to pursue open, green, and clean development that is high standard and that will benefit the people and that is sustainable. For the overall plan and for the specific projects, we invite the participation of all. We tried to ensure the transparency and openness of all the projects, and there is a zero-tolerance policy for corruption. Recently, President Xi Jinping announced that China will not build new coal-fired power projects abroad, and this has received high praise from the international community. To serve the Belt and Road Initiative is one important responsibility of our agency. President Xi Jinping has announced a series of important measures, including providing 60 billion RMB yuan of assistance, 100 happy home projects, 100 poverty alleviation projects, and 100 healthcare projects for countries along the Belt and Road. So the implementation of all those measures will enhance our foreign assistance and will in return promote the building of the Belt and Road cooperation. I have to say that COVID-19 has affected the implementation of some of the projects, but at the same time, we are glad to see that our assistance program has also been helping those countries addressing COVID-19. We see it also as one of our responsibilities. We stepped forward after the outbreak of COVID-19 and tried to provide assistance to other countries despite of COVID-19. Other countries are still quite enthusiastic about participating in Belt and Road cooperation and in the overall cooperation that China has promoted. During COVID-19, we have noticed that some of the major cooperation projects have achieved breakthroughs. There is a 50% increase and a 56% increase in the freight trains and cargo volume of China-Europe railway. And the non-financial direct investment among China and countries along the Belt Road have increased by 18.3%. Our assistance have attached no political conditions, and we are ready to improve our foreign assistance in the future. 对您这么关注，好，先这边吧。
谢谢主持人。澎湃新闻记者提问。
From the paper.
国合署线下对于 同西方国家和国际组织在发展
Could you
援助领
share
域开展第三
your
方合作
attitude
是
to
不太
tripartite cooperation with Western countries and international organizations in the field of development assistance?
涉及到了，那我想是不是请贸易
May I invite Vice Chairman Zhang Maoyu to answer your question?
谢谢你提出这样一个非常好的问题啊。
Thank you for this great question.
中国既高度重视
China
对发展中国家的双边援助合
takes
作，
seriously
同样
bilateral
高度重视与西方国
development
家
assistance cooperation with other developing countries,
开展三
and
方
we
合作、
attach great
多边
importance
合作。
to tripartite cooperation with developed countries and international organizations.
和三方合作始终啊
We
持积极开放的态度。
have always been positive
我
and
们将继续坚
open-minded
持发展中国家
about
定位，
exchange and cooperation in
积
this
极与有
field.
关各方
We will stick to our position as a developing country to explore
国际发展合作，
possibilities of tripartite cooperation as a way to enrich the approaches and pathways for international development cooperation and raise
我们主
the
张
capability and
一要推动建
level
立
of
更加
such a cooperation.
平
China
等
believes
均衡的
that we must
全球发展
foster
关系。
a global development partnership that is more equitable and balanced.
习近平
We
主席
will
提出的全球发展
actively
倡议
implement President Xi's proposal of global development initiative. In pursuing international development cooperation, we will uphold principles
责任原则
of common but differentiated
坚持南北
responsibilities.
合作，在国际
We
发展
believe
合作中的
North-South cooperation should be the main channel of international cooperation
其有
on
益部分
development, while South-South cooperation is a
而
useful
要发挥各
complement
自
to
优
it.
势，稳
Second,
步推进
we
三方合
believe
作
it's important to leverage the
要充分尊
advantages
重各
of
方的政
various
策
parties and promote
理念，
tripartite
和模式
cooperation. It's important to respect the
要本着相互
policies,
尊重、
philosophies, and models
相互
of
借鉴
different sides.
优势互补
We must
博采共
champion
同
the
精神，
spirit of mutual respect,
增进
mutual learning,
理解互信。
complementarity,
还
for
要充分尊
greater
重
understanding
受
and
援国
mutual
的主
trust.
权，
Third, it's important to respect the sovereignty and ownership of
受援国
recipient
提出
countries.
受援国同
The
意
Proposals should be proposed, agreed upon, and dominated by the recipient countries.
满意不满意呢
Their
作为衡量的标准。
attitude, consent, and satisfaction should be the final criteria.
满足受援国人道、
Such a cooperation should
就
give
业、
priority to the humanitarian, livelihood, and job creation needs of recipient countries
自主发
to
展
help
能力
them better grow
自主
themselves
造血的能力。
and increase the capacity of
我
self-generated
所成立3
development.
年多来，我们积极深化
3 years
对话
plus
协商
since the establishment of the
积极
agency,
参加联合
we've
国
been
第
actively
2届
involved
联合
in
大会
dialogues and
国土
consultations.
发展日
We've
等国际会议和
participated
活
in
动，
international meetings and events such as the
同日本、
second
德国、
United
瑞
Nations
士、
South-South
英国、
Cooperation Conference
法国、
and
挪
the
威、
European Development
欧盟
Day. We've
10多个
also
国家
conducted
区域组织
exchanges and
开展
interactions
了交流
with
互访。
more than 10 countries or
近年
regional
来，
organizations such as
中国在南海
Japan,
合作援助
Germany,
积极向上，
Switzerland, the
与
UK,
联合国
France,
的
Norway, and
多
the
个组
European
织，
Union.
例
In
如
recent years,
联合国
China
开发
has
计划署、
cooperated with international
世界粮食计划
organizations
署、
under
联合
the
国难民
framework
署、
of South-South Cooperation
联合国儿童
Assistance
基金会
Fund,
等
such as
开展合
UNDP,
作，
WFP, UN Refuge, and
在
UNICEF.
50多个国家实施粮食援助、
We've implemented
灾后重建、
in more than 50 countries development cooperation projects on
卫
food
生
assistance, post-disaster
和领域的法治合作
reconstruction,
项目，
rescue of refugees, and maternal and infant health.
葡萄牙、
We've
英国、
cooperated
澳大利亚
with Switzerland, Portuguese,
等国呢，
Portugal, the UK, the US, Australia, and New Zealand
农业、卫
on
生等民生领域
tripartite cooperation projects
受援方需求的三方合作
in the field of agriculture and health
下一步，我们
in
愿
a
意
way
继
that
续以
meets the
开放务实的
demands
态度
of recipient
积极
countries.
探讨
In the
开展三
future,
方
we'll
合作，
continue to be
也鼓励
open-minded and
适应部门
pragmatic in tripartite cooperation
团体
explorations. We
慈善
also
机构
encourage private sectors, civil
发挥更大的
organizations,
作
and
用，
charities to play
为国
a
际发展
bigger
合作
role
注入新的
and
动力。
inject new impetus to international development cooperation. Thank you. Any more questions?
谢发言人。香港经济导报记者提问，我的问题提问给罗兆辉署长。
This is a question for Mr. Chairman.
合作以来，国合署受到
Your agency has attracted wide attention since China started foreign assistance on COVID-19. Can you talk more about the mission and priority areas for this newly established agency? Thank you for this question. You said this is a question for me, though I believe my colleagues are all willing to take your question. This is a quite interesting question. Our agency works directly under the State Council and has been established for 3.5 years. Some of our friends may be quite confused about the mission of our agency, whether it's a national or international agency. So I'm really glad that I have this opportunity to talk more about our mission and responsibilities. Well, to be specific, our agency works directly under the State Council and is responsible for formulating China's foreign assistance policy plans, identifying projects, and supervising and evaluating the implementation of those projects, the assessments, whether there are problems, and we will also evaluate post-project results. We also coordinate major issues related to foreign assistance, and another responsibility is to promote the reform of foreign aid methods, because this is also a priority identified by the 19th Party Congress. So over the past 3 years, we have been working, trying to achieve new developments in China's foreign assistance. First, we served China's overall diplomacy. We have taken part in many of the important diplomatic initiatives proposed by President Xi Jinping and contributed to the development of many of the important initiatives and outcomes that are both appealing in name and practical in results. We have enhanced South-South cooperation, intensified cooperation with recipient countries, and carry out projects in terms of healthcare, education, cultural programs, poverty alleviation, and capacity building, and contribute to the attainment of the UN SDGs. We work together with other countries to address global challenges such as food security issues and carried out over 150 different kinds of humanitarian assistance projects. In addition to anti-COVID-19 assistance, we also carried out assistance to address some natural disasters in other countries. Third, we try to make new achievements serving domestic cooperation. We try to promote and facilitate domestic development, China's foreign trade and investment through foreign assistance. We provide help to recipient countries in the building of border inspection stations, inspection and quarantine centers, and customs inspection centers to ensure that more Chinese quality goods and products will go global. Fourth is to promote international cooperation. We have hosted 3 commemorations for the major events in China's foreign assistance, and President Xi Jinping has delivered 2 messages of congratulations on those events, and those events have enhanced our confidence in providing foreign assistance and well received by the international community. Also, we have released white papers on China's foreign assistance and established a working relationship with over 50 countries and international organizations. And the fifth, we have innovated our ways of foreign assistance. We focused on targeted and practical projects and ensured both hard and soft ways of assistance to magnify its overall results. We have issued over 24 different kinds of regulations and established a interagency foreign assistance mechanism among 25 relevant countries to ensure the coordination and overall management of China's foreign assistance. There is a quite strict revision and review procedure for China's foreign assistance, like I said. Pre-project and post-project monitoring and supervision. The establishment of our agency, and inside our agency, we have a department for monitoring and supervision. This was the first time in China's history. It was directly under the instruction of the central leadership. The establishment of this monitoring and supervision agency is a demonstration of our determination to ensure the openness and transparency of our work. However, the United States and Western countries have never stopped standardizing China's foreign assistance efforts. We never flinched in front of difficulties and challenges, and we will continue to fulfill our duties to ensure the quality development of China's foreign assistance. No matter how far we have traveled, we will never forget why we started. We have identified some of our unique features. First is win-win cooperation and treating each other as equals. Second is emphasis on honoring our promises and emphasis on practical results. We will try our best to assist others, and we will never make empty promises. And third feature is a focus on development and a focus on capacity building. And fourth is inclusiveness, openness, and mutual learning. Going forward, in carrying out China's foreign assistance, we will take health care as a priority and focus on international cooperation against COVID-19. We will take green development as a focal point to pursue sustainable development. We will take the improvement of people's livelihood as our purpose to help recover global economy, and also we will take multilateralism as our guide to improve global governance of cooperation in the development area. So these are some of the priorities, and I hope you can continue to follow our work, know more about our work. Our door is open to all the friends from the press. I think we can work with the information office to have some open house for friends from the press. So today I'm sending out my invitation to you. Thank you for the agency to attend today's press conference, and thank you all for participation. Thank you.